Welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. All right. We're going to get right on into it. I hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. All right. We're going to get right on into our subject today. Our subject today is divorce and before you remarry, or divorce, or before you remarry. This is a very important subject that I'm going to be talking about on today because there's a lot of people that are facing this dilemma. They've come to this conclusion. They've done all the avenues. They've had the I hope you would have already have had the counseling and went through the counseling sessions, and they've reached a conclusion that the marriage is not going to work. Sometimes it's due to abuse or infidelity are the two major things that will definitely end a marriage. Now, when the marriage ends, sometimes things happen in a marriage that can't be resolved. Uh, you go through things and it just doesn't work out. We talked about the infidelity or abuse, and it's the main one. Uh, if you've examined all avenues and nothing seems to be working, then you would come to that conclusion of resolving the marriage. But before this, make sure that both of you seek counseling before. This is important before and even after the divorce. I know a lot of people go through a divorce and they don't get any kind of counseling, but not necessarily professional counseling, but talk to like a pastor or someone like that. That way it'll have a third party in there or a second party to give you some advice to help you along, and you might just want to vent on some things. And you make sure that you do that. Have that counseling before and after, because a lot of times uh, if you don't get that counseling, things are gonna come back. That's why a lot of times when people get out of one relationship, they get in another relationship. Uh, in the person that they get in a relationship with, it's usually similar to the first person. That's why a woman that's been in an abusive relationship might jump from one abusive relationship to another abusive relationship. First of all, because there was no closure in the first relationship, they never had an opportunity to heal. That's another thing we want to talk about. Once you reach that conclusion of the divorce, make sure that you allow yourself time to heal. That's the time where you have your me time. Uh, Seek counseling after that. Don't just because what will happen again if you don't get that counseling, you'll end up with someone that's similar to the first person, and you don't want to go in that direction anymore. You want to go into a new direction. You have a new beginning at that time. At that stage of your life, you're in a new beginning. So you want to make sure that you complete that new beginning by simply seeking some counseling, have some closure in those previous relationships, especially if there's children involved. Yeah, that's why I say you have to examine all avenues before you reach that conclusion, especially when there's children involved. But if there's abuse there, even with the children involved and even with infidelity, that's something that's definite. That's a definite. The marriage will definitely be, in most cases, be dissolved. So you want to make sure that you have closure in those relationships, because a lot of times you'll take that baggage over. Because that's one thing you don't want to do. Once you decide to remarry or get into another relationship, you want to make sure that you're not going in the same direction that you came from, because you have a new beginning there. And you don't want to go in there. You remind me of my old husband. Yeah. You don't want to go in that direction where it's the same thing, that you went through before. For instance, if you had a husband that was cheating, or even a wife you had that were cheating on you, you don't want to get another relationship where the same thing happens, or even with abuse. You don't want to jump from one abusive relationship to another abusive relationship, and that's a lot of times what happens with people because they don't seek the counseling and everything. If divorce is the only solution, make sure you continue the counseling. That we talked about that. Continue the counseling even after you get the divorce. Continue that counseling, or continue talking with your pastor, whoever you were talking to before. Make sure you keep those avenues open, because you want it. This is your time to heal. And a lot of people jump from one relationship to another without healing. You have to heal, people. It makes some sense, because that doesn't make sense to jump from one relationship to another, even if the person is meant to be for you, or that's your soulmate. The next person is your soulmate. Allow yourself time to heal, because I'm telling you, it's going to come back to haunt you when you go to your next relationship. Make sure you seek something different, or ask the Lord to give you something different. Again, you don't want to get involved with someone that's similar or just like the person that was abusive to you, or the person that you had a problem, that there was a big problem of infidelity in the marriage. You don't want those same issues to come up again. All right, all right. Another relationship right away. Don't get into it. We talked about don't get into it. Another relationship right away. This is a critical time after you get that divorce. Your critical time for healing, and part of the healing process is to release the things that went on in the first marriage. If there was abuse there, if there was infidelity there, you have to release those things. Don't carry it on it, because first of all, when you get into the new relationship, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be watching the new husband or new wife as if they were the other person. Anything they say, something, they raise their voice and they be, "You ain't gonna hit me, no, not this time," and it might not even be, that might not even be crossing their mind. But because you were in that relationship and there was never no closure, there you didn't have an opportunity to, or take the opportunity to heal from that previous relationship. That's when you have all those issues, and when you take them over into another marriage, you're not gonna hurt my kids, and things like that comes up, especially if you were in an abusive relationship. You had children, children heard you yelling, and you get into a new relationship, and its first sign of a disagreement, it's gonna really frighten you. It's gonna take you back. You're gonna have a flashback of previous abusive relationships, and the same thing in an old relationship where there were infidelity. The husband go out, you counting on you, you know he's supposed to be here. It don't take that long to go to the store. Every little thing is you're gonna be real suspicious of your husband, because you never had closure from the first relationship. Stop bringing the baggage over, and stop looking for someone soon as you get out of one relationship. Give yourself time to heal. Pray before you make that decision, and make sure you pray after you make that decision. It's just simply say, I don't want to be in the same predicament as before. I want to move forward in the next relationship, where I don't want to just a husband. I want a soulmate. I don't want just a wife. I want a soulmate. So make sure that you in your new relationships, that you close out that chapter, where the husband is abusive or infidelity. Close that chapter out, because if you don't close that chapter out, it's going to come back to haunt you, and you're going to be back in counseling, and it's not fair to the person that you marry. Especially if that's their first marriage, they've never been married before. That's not fair to them, that you're bringing that baggage, or you think you're going to be comparing them to their old relationship. Oh, he didn't do this, and you ain't gonna tell me what to do. And it might not be that they're trying to tell you what to do. It's just that they're expressing themselves, or and you every little thing that they say is gonna sound like they're being violent, and then they're not really being violent. That's simply because you never had any closure from the first relationship. So you have to make sure that you close that chapter. A lot of people jump right into another relationship, but that other previous relationship chapter still open. Finish the book. And when you finish the book, put it on the shelf. Don't keep going back to that book and referencing that book. Because relationships are like a book, but chapters and paragraphs and stuff. When you get in the next relationship and you get mad, you go back to the other, pull the book off. This is Louis' book, Lou Willie's book. This day he did this, and you acting just like him. You start, because you never got over that. You never had any closure with her. You might not still have feelings for that other person, but it's not the matter of you having feelings for them. It's a matter that you didn't close that chapter that you had with that person. Make sure we're closing those chapters, those old chapters. Because I'm telling you, if you had if you were in a relationship where the other party was a liar, and next thing you know, you're going to be expecting the husband that you just married, everything you going to find fault in everything you did. Oh, he lied, he might not be, So you have to make sure that those chapters are closed. You close those chapters out, and we learn to release things too. And again, we're talking about the old baggage. Make sure you don't bring that old baggage into a new relationship. Leave that chapter, that book. Leave it on the shelf, and start a new chapter. Start a new book for your life. And and when you get to that point, especially if you're in an abusive or in a relationship where there's infidelity, the Lord has allowed you to have a new beginning. So in that new beginning, just like when you give your life over to Christ, there's a new beginning. You don't want to go back to what you were used to. You want to start a new chapter. And same thing with a marriage. You're starting a new chapter in your life, especially if you have kids. And they respect you. Your new party, your kids are being respected. There's plenty of respect in the home. You don't want to make sure that you bring up arguments that was from a previous relationship, because I'm telling you, you're going to start being suspicious of everything. Where is he at? And it doesn't take that long to do this, and he should have been here by now. What is he up to? Who you seeing? And as soon as they get a headache, all of a sudden they cheating on you. You must be getting it from somewhere, because you ain't doing it here. And things like that. But make sure that those chapters are all closed out. And when you decide, before you decide to go into another relationship, make sure that you have a clean. That's your opportunity to have a clean slate. Just wipe it clean. Start over with your new soulmate. And when you prayed about, that's why I say you pray before and you pray after. When you pray after, the Lord will lead you and let you know when that person, or if that person is right for you. And you will know when that person is right for you. You'll know when that's your soulmate. So don't mess up your new relationship by bringing up old stuff from a previous relationship. Make sure those relationships are ended. Make sure all that is, you take care of that business. Take that book and put it on the shelf. Because we're real good about remembering bad things. And if you have to remember something from that relationship, remember something good. Don't harp on the old stuff that you're trying to get over. Because it's very easy to get through something, a good memory. But a bad memory is hard to get. You never forget it. Just move on from it. And, and when you have that fresh new start in a new relationship, you don't want to have that baggage there. That way you will start with a clean slate, and your children will see that there's something new and not nothing where you see mom and dad and the new dad is fighting, and then you go back and tell the old dad, oh, they, that's the something that you don't want to get into. So make sure you close those chapters and don't get into a relationship right away. You see people doing that right away because they don't want to be by themselves. Be by yourself for a minute. That's your time. That's your time to heal. You don't go into no relationship without healing. And there's a healing process that you have to go through. Sometimes it takes longer than other people, especially if you're in an abusive relationship. It might take you a minute to get over that. So make sure that, or to heal from that. It might take a minute. And then infidelity, that's another one. It'll take a minute. Everything is going to seem suspicious to you, and the new husband you're going to seem mean because you're getting flashbacks. So make sure you close that chapter, and make sure you put God in everything you do, and it'll work out for you. So those that are in this predicament or facing this, I had to go through it years ago. That was over 30 some years ago. I had to go through that, and the divorce and harboring bad feelings about the ex and stuff, because I hadn't closed that chapter. And once I closed that chapter out, I was able to move forward in my new relationship. And it's been over 33 years, and it's just fantastic. All right, this is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off, and make sure that you give yourself time to heal. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off with Let's Talk Marriage. All right. Let's talk marriage. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry saying God bless you and have a blessed rest of the week.